couple of months ago, I had a video on the Fishman Tripleplay Express, and it was quite popular. Thank you very much for that. But I got a lot of questions around how it worked, how well it worked in a production piece of music with different plugins and then et cetera, et cetera. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 tracks on exactly that, how I've been using it in some songs. Take a look at christianchiller.com, or of course, share, like, rate, review, leave a comment. Everything is welcome. Okay, let's jump in. So I'm using Ableton here. I'm doing this at 1080p, so it's a little bit hard to see things, but it's just the nature of video stuff sometimes. So let's have a look at what's here. This was mostly recorded live. So the instruments that interest us in this particular case is we have analog guitar duplicated and then MIDI from the Tripleplay. The Tripleplay is not plugged in at the moment, but you can see it there. And what I've been experimenting with quite a lot is recording these at once. I only recorded one of these guitar parts at a time and then duplicated them with different plugins, but I played it mostly at the same time and then chopped things around. On the guitar, I tend to use Amplitude from IK Multimedia. I'm just a fan of a lot of the IK Multimedia plugins. They sort of suit my style. I also use Modo Drum for drums. And on the MIDI input, I have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, but it's going to sound a bit weird as you can hear. Let's solo on a few of the tracks. Let's start with the actual just normal guitar track. Should probably group them, but we won't worry about it for now. It's basically the same. So solo and solo. Let's take it back to the beginning. So this is a pretty kind of just, we have an overdriven guitar and a kind of more chunky guitar playing. It's pretty raw. That one is obviously a lot louder. This isn't completely mixed, to be honest with you. Okay, you get the idea? Now, those of you looking here will notice that this track, the duplicate one from the pickup, there's a lot going on. And this is something I will note with a lot of this experimentation. I've got another track I'll show you in a minute. Is guitars, obviously. You're playing 6 strings plus harmonics. When it comes to MIDI, they generate a lot of notes. So this is an example of me doing something very noisy, something very guitar-like, and what comes out on the MIDI track. And it's weird, that's for sure. And I kind of leaned into that sound for this. So this will sound very, very strange, kind of in isolation. There's a lot going on. You can see here is a bit cleaner. And then it gets kind of messy. And this is what I kind of leaned into on this particular case with the auto pan and that kind of thing. And it's kept fairly low in the mix for that reason. So if you bring the two together, you get some interesting effects. That's kind of intentional. It's weird sounding and we kind of leaned into it. And it doesn't ever really change. Maybe some parts later where it's... And you can hear there's kind of a lot of glitching. The plugin and the sound of the plugin aren't really able to cope with the amount of notes, but it kind of adds to it, in my mind anyway. It's the effect of the track, which when I play the whole thing, it kind of works. It sits there blooping away in the background, and in theory, you could extract these notes and do more. But this is a very heavy guitar part, so the plugin is kind of struggling, but it sort of works, in my mind anyway. Especially there's some places towards the end, if I can remember, where it starts to break down a bit more. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's not to everyone's taste, but I kind of like it. But we're really overloading the plugin here, to be fair. It's not. The pickup and the plugin are kind of struggling to process here, but it works in my mind. And here is another kind of ringing note. Yeah. So I won't play all of the track, obviously, but I've come this far. It'd be interesting to hear the whole thing together. It's sort of 9 Inch Nails inspired, which is why the working title is 10 Inch Screws. Very original. And there's some other synths that will come in, but that's different. Which is also MIDI and analog, actually, but it's not what this video is about. Let me have that. So the whole thing is pretty discordant. So, yeah. Okay. This one again, I have it in arrangement view. So do a similar thing here, but with a different plugin. I have the guitar, again, using Amplitude. I mean, not that means much to you, but there we go. And it is duplicated on a Philharmonic plugin. And again, I'm a big fan of IK Multimedia. I have most of their stuff. I'm using their strings and violin. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot here, but it's a violin sound. So this is also a bit chaotic, as you can sort of see from the MIDI here. But again, it kind of works in my mind. And the plugin copes with it a little better, actually. Let's I'll bring the guitar in first. So it's sort of similar-ish. There's some ringing guitar notes, and it hangs over a bit, etc. It's a bit more mellow. Yeah. More ringy. There's less going on. The interesting thing here, of course, is all of the distortion and effect is added by the plugin. The bass audio doesn't have all this sort of noise on it. Yeah, so you get the idea. Let's bring the strings in. Probably get an idea of what this is going to sound like. So again, it's adding a lot of backing. These ringing notes sort of have, yeah. Again, yeah, it wobbles a bit there, and there's bits where it doesn't work at all, but it sort of works in the context of the track. Maybe I could clean up some of these notes, actually, especially these top ones here. This is pretty raw. We didn't really edit this at all. But again, in my mind, I kind of like it. I mean, it's not for everybody's taste, of course, but I kind of like it. And hey, it's my track. I think this one is a bit more consistent. The track is shorter anyway. Oh no, sorry, it keeps going, doesn't it? So there's some other parts here where it gets very discordant. Yeah. Let's hear that in the context of the track. This one is a bit odder, maybe in some respects, actually. But yeah, there's plenty of discordant noise coming from elsewhere as well, so... But, I'm very much leaning into the dynamics of the guitar here and seeing what the plugin will do. It's not really ideal for the MIDI side, but it works for the sound that I'm going for. Let's find a part maybe where the dynamic changes. I'm not sure if there is much in this song. No. Okay. But that's the idea of that song. So it's pretty similar. And here is one more that is a little bit different, but similar. So again, I have guitar, again using amplitude, and I have a Hammond organ. Again, as I said, I like IK Multimedia plugins using their Hammond plugin, going pretty wild, as you can see. And it's a similar thing. And you can see this from the fact that all of these are the same name. So I'm going to solo the group. Actually, it is all one group anyway. So this is in clip view, not arrangement view. So we get something a little different. That's always the fun of getting everything to play at once. There. So this is cleaner, obviously, because the MIDI is a lot cleaner. But it was played and recorded at exactly the same time. And that works quite well, actually, in my mind. The notes warble a bit here and there, but that could also be the effect on the Hammond. And then we have this one as well. And that I really like, actually. So there's not really any latency, which is something a lot of people asked about. And then finally, a bit more like in the other tracks. But this is a discordant guitar, but it's a Hammond. It sounds pretty cool, I think. Yeah, you get the idea, but I kind of like it. Yeah. Anyway, and that was my look at how I use the Tripleplay Fishman Express to record some music in my own unique style, of course. If you like what you saw, take a look at christianschiller.com, rate, review, share, leave a comment. I hope to have more music content in the coming months. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me, and take care, everybody.